Hi, it's me again, Abna of Powers Life. I'm going to talk about the new build process. Some we interviewed last week actually did mention a bit about the process that he went through. And remember, this is not advice. It changes on a regular basis. It's different for every developer. It's so different for every developer. I'm only sharing my experiences as well because in my house buying journey and process, I've spoken to a whole number of new build developers, Redrow. I've spoken to Barratt Homes. I've actually spoken to Countryside, but I didn't get a lot of information out of them. I've spoken to David Wilson. I've spoken to I've forgotten this one day in rugby now. I've forgotten their name. Anyway, I've spoken to quite a few developers, and I can tell you that everyone does theirs differently. When Sam did his reservation, he said that he actually reserved before he gave his agreement in principle. When I started doing mine this year, and I think mostly because of the furlough process and the whole economic situation in the UK now, because of what's going on in the world currently, what's happened is that when I was trying to get into a new build property, they actually asked for my AIP before they even allowed me to reserve. And some new build developers, although you have your own AIP, they would like for you to speak to their own financial advisors to be sure that you can qualify for the property that you are interested in. And they will not allow you to reserve until you've gone through this process. So some of them, for example, Redrow, for instance, were happy to accept my own AIP. Taylor Woodrow were happy to accept my own AIP. And my AIP at the time was now the First Direct Bank. I'm not saying you should go there. Again, none of this is financial advice. I'm just sharing my experience. And so Redrow did accept it. Taylor Woodrow did accept it. I know that a few of them wanted me to speak to their own financial advisor, and I was happy to do it. Barratt wanted me to speak to their own financial advisor, and to be honest, it doesn't hurt to do that. So I spoke to their financial advisors. They qualified me, so they asked for my they didn't do a credit check at the time, but they asked for my existing salary. They actually asked if I was furloughed during this time. They asked me if I was furloughed. They asked for my existing salary. They also asked for my existing, any bills that I pay. So usually they wouldn't count the bills to the expenses, because when you live in a house, you're going to pay your bills anyway. So they wouldn't count that. They asked about my travel costs, how much it costs for me to travel in and out of London, where I used to live. They also asked for any credit or any loan agreements that I have, and I had to give them all that information. They asked me if I changed job recently, was I in full-time employment, was I a contractor. So they asked for a lot of information, a lot of numbers to be able to work out how much you are allowed to borrow. And then they asked if I wanted to do a help to buy scheme, but you have to bear in mind that depending on which region of the UK you are, there's a maximum amount of help to buy that you can basically get. So that's what they did. And then once that was done, I was able to then go in and reserve a property if I wanted a property. And when you reserve the property, usually on the new build sites, they are like show homes of similar homes that they're going to put a development. Usually you will get one of every type, but not always. And if you can't get that particular one that you want on the sites that you're hoping to buy from, they would then recommend for you to go to a different place and look at videos of the one that you're actually interested in, or go to that development and have a walk around the site. So if you've been following me for some time, or if you're new here, if you go to previous videos, you would see me going around basically the UK, because I traveled a bit, to record videos of the properties that I wanted. And it was just for my own news, but I was like, you know what, let me just share it on YouTube in case anyone is interested. And people have commented that, oh, it's shaky, it's all that. I'm not a professional, I was just recording it. So if you are interested in any type of property and you think you might find it on my page, please feel free to go on my past videos and have a look at it. Once you've looked at the properties and you want to do it, you put down a reservation fee, and that reservation fee is basically to say that that plot is yours, and they would like to see your AIP before they actually reserve that property for you. And they'll see your AIP, they would also want to see your ID to make sure that you are eligible to buy in the UK. And then they would normally give you a list of solicitors and mortgage brokers so that you can go through the process, that you can ask for incentives. So before I even thought of reserving, which I haven't bought a new build, but when I was in the process and I thought of doing that, I actually, so I will use a few examples. So on Taylor Woodrow, those are the ones that I actually moved a bit ahead, so I can tell you a bit of the story. On Taylor Woodrow and Redrow website, you can create your own profile. And in the profile, depending on the plots that you have and the stage that it's in, there are things that you can actually change or put extras in. They call them extras in there. So on Redrow, you could actually choose your bathroom towels, carpets, window finishes, like inbuilt wardrobes, what type of countertop you want. Do you want a laminate countertop? Do you want a siltstone countertop? Do you want a marble countertop? So there's so many things that you can change the property. I think you cannot change the color of the rooms because usually it's all magnolia, or Red Rose case they call it almond white. It's all magnolia. So you cannot change that. I don't know if anyone has ever asked for that to be changed before. I would like plain white instead of magnolia. But that's, you can even change the sockets to more polished or something instead of white. But these are some of the things you can change. And note that the same house type in a different development may cost cheaper than in another development. So, and it's how quick you get in. The prices of the house, sometimes they can reduce. I don't say they can reduce, but they can give you a bit of a discount based on the stage that it's in at, or based on their financial year. So if they're coming to the end, their mid-year or their financial year by the developer, then what they would usually do is they'll give a discount because they're coming to the end of the financial year and maybe their numbers have to add up or something like that. I read somewhere a while back, which I'm not sure, that developers make I don't know if it's a gross profit or a net operating profit, I don't know, but they make a profit of about 23%, which is quite a lot. But as we know, materials have gone up. So ask for as much incentives as you can, and then be honest with them and tell them what you can afford and what you can't. And then listen, if you're happy with the incentives they give you, just go for it. I remember, just an example I want to give, I had a budget that I wanted to stick to, and when I did my budget, I was short, like in total sum, I was short in about, so if I bought the property they were giving me, it means my mortgage was going to go up about £200 or so. And I had to fund another £15,000 for deposit, to add to the deposit. And I didn't want to do that. I had the funds to add to it, but I also wanted to keep an emergency fund. So I didn't see the point of putting that towards the house. And what they did actually was that 15,000, they were ready to give it to me in like flooring, bathroom tops that I want, kitchen tops that I want, and everyone can do this. What I did was I went online, I actually searched for prices and approximate workmanship cost of putting that thing in myself, and I realized that they quoted me 15,000 for what they wanted to do, and it came up to, when I did my own codes and everything, it came up to about, I think it was about 7,350 or something. So they basically charged me 100% more than what it actually cost. And I went back to them and I was like, this is not happening. So finally I decided I wasn't going to buy it, and I didn't buy it. But this is just a lessons learned, so that you know that if you're buying a new build property, incentives are important. If you want to reserve it, I think they've changed the process now. They're actually asking for an AIP before you can reserve, and they're also asking for, either they ask you to speak to their financial advisor to pre-qualify you, or you get an AIP before you purchase it. In the next video, I'm going to talk about the cost of deciding where to live, and also about the new builds and the extra cost that is involved in the new builds. And I hope that you find that useful. So thanks for joining. I'm trying to make this as useful to people as possible. If you've got any comments, please put it in the comments tab below. Of course, like, subscribe, share and save so others can get it as well. Thanks for joining, and see you next week. Bye.